Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast, presented as always by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But remember, make that $50 or more first-time deposit, and you'll get a free CHGO membership that gets you access to all of our wonderful ad-free written content, our Discord channel, some free swag from the CHGO locker, all that great stuff. Jump on that deal. PointsBet, download the app, use the code CHGO, put $50 in there, and you've got all that stuff. You've got the hookup. And make sure if you're watching us live on YouTube right now, you hit that like button. Smash it, as the kids say.
Smash.
That is very, very helpful when you do that for us. So if you're in here on the YouTube page, you see that thumbs up button, hit it, crush it, smash it, yeet it. Can you yeet it? Can you yeet a button? Whatever it takes, do it, and we would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we are.
It's not an official show until our friend hits the patio,
There
takes his shirt off.
I honestly think he is.
Set your watch.
CHGO all day.
He's looking in the window now. I think he has become a fan.
Can you see through that window?
I don't know.
See into
I
our
can
offices?
see him.
I hope not, because we're all staring right at him.
Yeah. Let's all take our shirts off and see what he thinks.
Yeah,
we'll
make him more comfortable.
He's the official mascot for our show. Never fails.
One day we're going to have to just set up a camera and let everybody know. Maybe I'll wear like a GoPro on my head one day for the show, and I'll just turn and look at the bald smoking man.
Here, I'll take a picture of it. You can't see this guy. It's not zoomed in enough. You won't see his face.
That's all right. We want to keep some anonymity
on
around
social media.
We need to check that with our legal department.
Yeah.
You know what I'll do? I'll put the little emoji over his own face.
Is there a smoking emoji? A guy with a cigarette in his mouth?
I'll see what I can do.
There's got to be.
I'm pretty good with the old Photoshops.
All right. That makes one of us. So here we are, 24 hours after the free agency period is open, a little bit more than that, actually. And we already know Max Domi, Andreas Anastasiou is in the fold. Colin Blackwell is a name that was added after we got off the air yesterday.
As was Alex Stalock, I believe.
And Alex Stalock, I think so too, yeah.
Is that after?
I don't know. The whole day runs together. Like free agency day and trade deadline day are just, it's like one big blob of things happening. And it's very hard for me to place when is when. But I do think those two specifically happened after our show. So we'll start there. Kyle Davidson met the media today at development camp. And really, nothing super surprising. What he said was, we're looking for guys that compete, some veteran presence after some of the moves we've made. He did confirm Alex Stalock would be the backup goalie. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't get too much from Kyle today, and I think he was very careful to not just basically flat out say, yeah, we signed these guys, we're going to flip them at the deadline.
Right.
He can't say it.
He can't sit up there and be like, guys, we're tanking. What do you want me to say? You know, he's got to, sugarcoat it a little bit. He's got to pick and choose his words properly. I think what was most telling was, I think one of the final questions was, what is a successful season this year for the Blackhawks? What does it look like? And short of saying, well, if we get the first overall pick, that'll be successful, he basically was just like, a lot of people had high expectations for us last year, and we fell short. A lot of people may not have any expectations for us this year, and we might exceed them. That's why you play the games. But he said it with a smirk on his face because we all know what's going on here, right? We all know what a successful season is. It's ending the year with the best odds to get the top overall pick. And next June, Kyle Davidson gets to walk up to the stage in Nashville, which I believe is official, unofficial, where the draft is going to be, he gets to go to up on the stage and say the Blackhawks are proud to select. Well, before that, he has to say thank you to the great city of Nashville for hosting the draft. I had a lot of bourbon and I had a lot of ribs. It was great.
And congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche for your second straight Stanley Cup win.
And we select Connor Bedard. That is what the success of the 2022-2023 season is going to be measured by.
Yep. Maybe they'll visit the Memorial Brian Sutter Tyler Arneson plaque in Tootsie's.
There you go.
From when Brian Sutter put him up against the wall on a road trip.
Yeah, maybe we can convince Luke Richardson to yell at somebody at Tootsie's that weekend.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm sure he'll have some candidates by then. Guys he'd like to bring by the...
People I'd like to pin against the bar in Tootsie's by Luke Richardson.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten comments, Twitter or whatnot. People are like, why can't they just say they're trying to lose? They don't. That's not how it works.
It's no.
Their acquisitions yesterday is all you need to know, that they're trying to finish with a terrible record. Why can't a GM just be honest and say, because that doesn't work that way. You got to keep some sort of integrity in this. So you sign guys that, if you squint hard enough, could be really good players, but you're hoping they are really good players for a couple months so you could trade them and get more assets. Kyle Davidson wants to build this team through the draft, and the only way you could do that is with lots and lots of picks, because we know the percentage.
Future assets.
We know the percentage of guys you draft that actually make it is pretty small. So the more picks you have, the more chances you have of guys that can actually produce for you at the NHL level. So, don't buy a Max Domi jersey. Don't buy an Andreas Athanasiou jersey. They will not be here by St. Patrick's Day or whenever the trade deadline is. They're not going to be here for the full season.
Spare your blood pressure for getting all up in arms over the Blackhawks bringing back Adam Clendening and Dylan Sekura. I said it on Twitter. I'll say it again. Blackhawks fans, keep your expectations low. If you get upset over signings like that, you are going to burn yourselves out before the season even starts. The path of a team that is trying to win now and a team that is rebuilding down the road are very different. Why didn't they bring back Strome? Why didn't they bring back Kubalik? You spent all this money on these bums for 1 year.
Yes.
That's
what we did.
That's what they are doing.
For Connor Bedard.
That's what they are doing. This year, we've said it a bunch of times, wins and losses will not matter. Well, losses will, but wins and losses will not matter because the goal is not this year. It is down the road.
Yeah.
And they're obviously they're trying to get the IceHogs to be really good too. That's important to them.
That's why Dylan Sekura is back.
And
that's why Clendening is back.
Two other guys they signed, Luke Phillip and Brent Seney.
Yeah.
Those are AHL guys. Those are guys
that'll play in the NHL.
They want to be the Chicago Wolves at the AHL level. Now the Wolves are they're going for a rough one this year because everybody that was any good has gone someplace else. But they want to have that team that has a good mix of veterans and prospects, and they want a deep playoff run because that's super important. Plus, there's also some optics that go behind that because not every Blackhawk fan is going to be paying attention to the prospects and paying attention to what the IceHogs are doing on a game-by-game basis. But if they see in April, oh, wow, the Rockford IceHogs are in the Calder Cup final. Man, this rebuild is heading in the right direction. Not necessarily knowing that half that team is 30-year-old guys. But
the experience of playing through that is valuable.
Yeah, but that also gets the fans excited when they see that the IceHogs are winning. Mm-hmm. They're going to be like, hey, this means the Blackhawks are going to be good in 2 or 3 years, when it may not necessarily be the prospects doing all the good stuff.
And part of the development plan, because I've seen people tweeting me, Clendening better not play over all these prospects.
He's not.
Two things. One, there's a likelihood that some of those guys will be in the NHL at different points in the season. Those young players, like an Alec Regula, Alex Vlasic, Isaac Phillips, like those guys, Ian Mitchell. Those guys will be coming up and down from Rockford periodically. Some may come up and stay up. That might be the case. The other part of that is that you need, like, a player like Adam Clendening, make the jokes you want. I don't care. A player like Adam Clendening has been around the block many times. He's played a lot of professional hockey, both at the NHL and AHL level. He's seen everything there is to be seen at the AHL level. And when you have a guy in his late 20s, early 30s in that role, and you place him with a guy in his early 20s as he's getting his first or second season of professional hockey at the minor league levels, it's nice to have someone like that can say, here's the ins and outs, here's what you can expect, do this, don't do this, and you can be successful. That is a major part of development. Rockford last year ended up having a lot of young players play a lot of significant minutes, and they made the playoffs. That was great. What they want to do is the players who are there from last season, who are there again, put them with some players that can get you not squeaking into the playoffs, but firmly in the playoff picture, so that those extra younger players who are still in Rockford, they can get playoff experience. They can get into a culture of winning games.
That's
and then
it.
can bring
Yes.
that to the NHL level. You can't do that with the third youngest roster in the AHL. You got to have some guys who have been there, done that. That is the Clendening move. That is the Dylan Sekera move.
Covering the IceHogs the last 3 seasons, there are guys that the young players always talk about over the past couple of years. Last year it was Ryan Stanton. Everyone's like, Ryan Stanton, blah, blah, but no. Before that it was Cody Franson. Was a huge influence on that locker room. Garrett Mitchell has been their captain the last 2 seasons. These are guys that are like
Perfect guy to be their captain.
yes, but these are guys that are extra coaches on the ice, on the bench. Adam Clendening is going to be take on that role too. I'm not looking for Sekera to do that type of thing, but he's a guy that's been through it, played in the NHL.
He's a guy that makes your minor league team competitive.
Yeah, and that's what you want. And so getting a guy like Adam Clendening to come back, and he's just a really good character guy too. He's a really good dude. He's done a lot of good charity stuff off the ice. I've heard some stories that he's been very good, with the fans and kids and stuff like that. So he's a professional. There's another professional, good, high character professional that's going to show these kids how you do it. Because there's so much more to being a professional hockey player than just the 60 minutes you play every night. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I think, Mario, what you said in the term culture, right? Like, that, a winning culture matters. And, yeah, this team is going to take their lumps at the NHL level. But if young players are experiencing success in Rockford and winning games and then coming up with that mindset to the NHL, they get it. Like, all these prospects we talk to, and make sure you check out tomorrow's podcast. We have interviews with Nolan Allen, Frank Nazar, Drew Comesso, and Ethan Del Mastro. They're really great, and they all talk about, look, a rebuild's cool for us because it's an opportunity maybe sooner than we'd expect. They get it. So I don't think, them getting called up at some point in their career and taking some lumps in NHL and losing some tough games, some hard-fought games they lose maybe 3-2 or 3-1, whatever, those aren't going to be damaging like they would be, if you were if the organization in general was just losing and losing and losing and losing with no real light at the end of the tunnel. I think already, if you talk to Hawks fans who are looking at this whole situation from Rockford to Chicago through a clear lens, you see the plan. And once again, the qualifier. Yes, they did not get enough for DeBrincat. Fine. Move on from that, right? At some point, we've got to move on from that. But you see what the plan is. And even if they don't, like our buddy Skoke said, his biggest fear is the Hawks get the number 1 pick and don't select Connor Bedard. He who shall not be named is gone. Something like that is not going to happen. He's not going to outsmart himself. But, like, even if it's not Bedard, if it's Fantilli or Mitch Cover, whoever might emerge between now and the draft, you're probably going to have whoever that is will be your best prospect, right? And probably your ticket to the next generation of good competitive Hawks teams. And if it is Bedard, that accelerates everything. Because he's probably playing right away.
Greg talked a lot about, he used the term when we were talking about the potential for a DeBrincat trade. You were making that trade looking to take time off of the rebuild. If things go the way that they should to start this rebuild and the Blackhawks get the opportunity to pick Connor Bedard, and they do, that in and of itself can take a year off the rebuild, because you have a player who a lot of draft analysts, scouts, and people in that world are saying would have been the top pick this year and probably would have been the top pick in most draft classes in recent years outside of Auston Matthews and Connor McDavid. So if you're getting a kid who's in that realm of Auston Matthews and Connor McDavid, who immediately went into the NHL and could immediately play and immediately change a franchise, that is what you're looking for. That is what will accelerate the rebuild. The acceleration of the rebuild was not going to be Kirby Dach, Alex DeBrincat, and Dylan Strome all hitting their ceilings. That wasn't going to accelerate it. What a Connor Bedard can do, and what some of these top picks getting into the system can do as they reach their ceilings.
If the Blackhawks win the draft lottery this spring, Kyle Davidson should just stand up and say, "We select Connor Bedard." Arizona, you're on the clock.
Oh, yeah.
We're done with it.
Don't let me outsmart myself.
We're
at
doing
the
it
lottery.
now.
Yeah.
Connor Bedard, he's our guy. Move next. Arizona, you're on the clock. Like, don't even wait. There's nothing. There's no discussion. A couple interesting questions from our chat. Nate asks, legit question, because I have no clue where they're at. Where do you think the Blackhawks prospect pool rank is at in relation to the rest of the league? Bottom third, middling, top third, still in the bottom third.
Yeah.
It's bottom third, but trending up.
For sure.
I mean, you add 3 first-round picks in one draft, you're going to start looking. So ask us again maybe around World Juniors of next year when we have a couple of months to see how these kids are progressing. And then we can check back in at the end of next season. Hopefully, by the time development camp rolls around 365 days from now, they're maybe in that – they're out of the bottom third and they're in the lower half of the middle group there. And then, you get that number 1 pick, and Connor Bedard
will shoot you
is
up the
there.
rankings, yep.
And then you also have at least one more first-round pick in next year's draft already. I'm going to guess they'll probably have another one if they can.
I would imagine.
We have learned Kyle Davidson will literally give you anything for your first-round pick. So right now they're bottom third still. But they are trending in the right direction for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, before last week, it was Lucas Reichel and question mark. Now you've got Korchinski, Nazar, Rinzel, a couple nice later round picks too. I think Samuel Savoy looks like an NHL Savoy. I got to get used to that. Looks like an NHL player based on 1 week of development camp, which we know is very definitive. But it's just
and 2.
We'll know better next year when we see how all these draft picks do in their first year since being drafted.
Yes, and what is a good indication that they have quality young players in their system is looking at which players are going to their respective countries for the World Junior Camps this summer. And now factoring in this year's draft class, between the U.S. and Canada, they have 9 kids going to those camps, 5 in the U.S. and 4 in Canada. I believe Victor Sternborg is going to play with Sweden. So you have some of these top prospects, not top prospects, but you have some of the prospects in their system that are going to be playing on a big stage for their country at the junior level. And that is a good indicator of where those kids are already at in their development. And not every kid who plays on a World Junior roster is going to be an NHL superstar. But it's a good indication of where those teams trying to win gold medals see those players at right now, and it's a good launching pad to see where some of those players can go in their development. So it is encouraging. I know The Athletic does their rankings every year. The Blackhawks, I think 2 or 3 years ago, were like 8th. I think this year they started at like 25th. I think after the draft they've gone up a little bit, but yeah, they're still in the bottom half for sure.
We've got a comment in the chat from Michael saying, If it's a lot of ifs, it's a major market, it's an original 6 team, how many years are they going to stink? Well, that's the idea. That's why you try to accelerate this. And they have tried the middling thing since the last Stanley Cup, bringing in veterans, bringing in free agents, trying to plug holes, trying to strain every last drop out of Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane.
Sacrificing the future.
There's just no other way out of this right now. Right. They're not going to go sign Johnny Gaudreau and a bunch of free agents and try to do it again. It has not worked. They brought in a Hall of Fame goalie, a top 15 defenseman, one of the better stay-at-home defensemen available on the free agent market last year, and they finished sixth worst record in the league. With all that, yes, they had a bad coaching. It's just there's no other way out of this. You have to just tear the Band-Aid off. And remember, again, if they get Bedard next year, okay, if it happens, and yes, of course it's an if, fine, granted, But it's better than if we can sign all these free agents and if they all want to come here and if we can make the cap work.
If Patrick Kane can score 100 points at age 40.
Everything is an if in sports. Everything's an if.
That's why there's apps like PointsBet, because there are no guarantees.
But if you get Connor Bedard and then you have $21 million coming off the salary cap next year with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane gone, you could say, holy shit, we've got Connor Bedard. Kevin Korchinski's made a huge jump. Lucas Reichel had a 50-point rookie season. Let's go get some free agents now. It could be next year. It truly could be next year that they decide to do what Steve Yzerman did yesterday and say, wait a minute. All of a sudden, we've got a really damn good young core of players because Reichel made a jump. Maybe a defenseman or two like Ian Mitchell makes a jump, right? Ian Mitchell, 2 years ago, fans had him, myself included, had him penciled in as the number 2 defenseman on the team. He hasn't developed that way, but he might.
He'll have
right?
a real good shot this year to develop.
And what if Nolan Allen steps up and becomes an NHL defenseman in a year or two? All of a sudden, it looks totally different. And when you half it, like Detroit did, that's why it took Detroit so long. Because they kept Zetterberg and Datsuk so long, and they would sign some guys that would try to make them be a little more presentable, and they had 50-point seasons. Over and over and over again.
Yeah, they went to, how many times did they do Daniel Alfredson or Mike Modano?
Mike Modano.
And it's all for the crowd pop, right? Like, oh, I know that name.
To try to keep that playoff streak alive.
Yes.
Where did it get them? It got them nowhere after
That's not what Kyle Davidson's doing. Every move Kyle Davidson is making has an eye to the future, including Max Domi, including Andreas Athanasiou. Those are guys that he says, look, they're both going to get top 6 minutes. One of those two is going to play with Patrick Kane, have a bounce back year, and at worst, they're flipped for a prospect. And it's another lottery ticket. Mm-hmm. It's all with eyes to the future. But if Bedard, if they've got, and they have as good a chance as anybody at Bedard, and we're going to address the question of who is going to really threaten the Hawks for the number 1 overall pick. If they get him, they could start signing people next year.
It could.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to wait till 2024's free agent class is pretty darn good.
There's no but
there's no pressure.
But there's no indication aside from I've yet to hear anyone who's been against what Kyle Davidson is doing present a better alternative.
Right.
Because whatever you're going to say, they've tried it and it hasn't worked.
Right.
Yeah.
Shirt's coming
yeah,
up.
And
I'm not bothered.
Yeah, and
maybe if you need a cigarette and join our neighbor.
I see the viewership just dropping as my shirt unbuttons. Sorry, everybody.
Actually, we're up over 100. Take down another button.
There you go.
No, nobody wants that.
Yeah, I mean there is some rhyme or reason to this being quick if things do pan out. Ifs, but at this point right now,
that's all you got.
The ifs are all we have. Because if you're putting stock into this team to be anything other than in the lottery at the end of the season, you're putting a lot of time and energy that is going to be wasted into those hopes and aspirations. The ifs are after this season. The ifs are if Max Domi and Andreas Athanasiou get you back some future assets, which they probably will. What do they pan out to be? If you're in the running for a Connor Bedard, if you're getting a major value to trade Patrick Kane, if you end up doing that, those are all the ifs. But if they pan out, it's going to be quick. And when Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane and Seth Jones at the end of last season were saying, "Oh, this might not be, this rebuild doesn't have to be too long," they were thinking, as Sidney Crosby, the GM. Well, if we keep Kubalik and Strome and Kirby and DeBrincat, we keep all those guys around, we go get out to free. They were doing the previous regime's mindset in their own heads.
Speaking of ifs, by the way, well, if Kirby Dach develops and if Kubalik gets back to his goal scoring form and if Dylan Strome takes a step, if, those are all ifs too.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've already got you already have a body of evidence saying that's not going to happen.
Right. Those are ifs that are slightly probably less likely to happen than if we get the first overall pick.
Yeah.
We've got a better shot at getting the number 1 overall pick next year right now than we do of Kirby Dach and Dylan Strome finally being worthy of the number 3 overall
having
picks.
bounce back years from all three of Kubalik, Dach, and Strome at the same time.
Right now
in the same way,
Yeah.
or in the way that brings the Blackhawks back to contention.
We have much better odds to get Connor Bedard right now than that happening.
I want to say too, and I don't know if I got to this during our draft show, but you guys know I've been hopeful on Doc. I've said towards the end of the year I feel like I'm the last guy that believes in him. The fact that the Hawks traded him tells me that I was probably wrong to have that faith. For them to be in the situation they're in, to look at a 20-year-old third overall pick and be like, yeah, no, we're ready to move on from that, that tells you something. It tells you that they know something that we don't about him. And look, seems like a great kid. I hope the best for him. I hope he has great success in Montreal, right? And we look back at that one and say, well, that was a miscalculation by Davidson. But the fact that the team in the state it's in right now looked at that kid and said, no, let's get him out of here. Let's trade him. That tells me that they have no faith that he was ever going to figure things out.
Well, it makes me wonder, Kyle Davidson and the previous heads of front office, we've learned that maybe they weren't always on the same page, and I think it's becoming clearer as time goes on and as Davidson has control over the team, what different pages that they were on. And it seems like docket number 3 was another one of those pages that they probably were on different ends of. So yeah, it's an indication, moving Doc and getting a top 15 pick and an extra pick on top of it, that Davidson and his front office feel better at the chance of those two assets turning out into to be something that Doc could have been.
Yeah, we're a little late on our ad reads, but real quick before I tell you about PointsBet, Narfin in the chat says, a better coach with last year's team is more than likely a wild card team in a first-round exit. Even if that's true, and that roster maximize itself, maybe they hire Luke Richardson a year earlier, and they get the most out of their players. Even in that space, right? Let's imagine that parallel universe. How is that team going to ever get to the next level? It's just going to be the same thing year after. They're the Pittsburgh Penguins, where, wow, look, they're competitive every year. 4 consecutive first-round outs for the Penguins, and guess what? They just signed up for 4 more.
Exactly.
By extending Evgeny Malkin and extending Chris Letang and saying, we're going to get the band back together and we're going to play the same damn song we've been playing since our last Stanley Cup. And they'll be good.
Those 6 extra games a year.
Yeah, they'll be good and they'll be fun, and maybe, just maybe, they catch lightning in a bottle and have a first-round upset, but they're not going to win a Stanley Cup. They're just not.
If the Blackhawks had been a wild card team last year, your first round matchup would have been Calgary or Colorado, I believe, right? Those were because it was Calgary, Dallas was the wild card, and Colorado, Nashville. Pick your poison. How do you want to get bounced? 5 games, 4 games,
and then the add on to that, then it'd have been like, well, we got back to the playoffs. We're heading in the right direction. Let's keep everybody.
And
here.
You pick 17th,
right? And then you go this year, and maybe you're a wild card team again. You lose in the first round again. You pick 18th again. This is the perfect time to just say, screw it.
My old pal Dan Bernstein at The Score used to call it, he would call it basketball hell.
Yeah, NHL hell.
Like the Bulls are a really good example.
Yeah.
Now you see them starting to turn up, but for years it was just like, let's try to compete for one of the last playoff spots and bring in some names, and people will cheer and the arena will be full, and we'll just be this for the rest of eternity.
That was the Blackhawks of the 80s and first half of the 90s.
Yes.
Bill Wirtz just wanted to get that first-round playoff gate. That's all he cared about.
I've got Roenick, I've got Chelios, I've got Gary Suter. I'm not going to do anything to help those 3 guys take the next step.
And what happened? Every year they got in the playoffs. Of course. And they had a couple of nice runs. There was, of course, there was the run of the Cup final in 92. They had a couple conference final. They made it to the conference final 95. But they were just satisfied at just getting there. They were just satisfied at getting there. And I'm not satisfied with just making the playoffs. Make the playoffs and do something.
Let's just say this, right? Let's say in 5 years, the Hawks are Cup contenders again. And maybe in the next 10 years, they win one. Won't the next 2 or 3 years of pain be worth that?
Yeah.
Because the way it was going before this summer, there's just no way out of mediocrity. Even if let's play pretend, and the Hawks somehow find money for Johnny Gaudreau, and don't make any changes after last season, right? And they just add Johnny Gaudreau, which is financially impossible, but still, even that, okay, they're probably a playoff team. They're not a cup contender, but they're cap screwed, and there's just, again, no path out of it. It's just, it sucks, and it hurts, and it sucks to lose Alex DeBrincat, and it sucks that they're going to lose a bunch of games for the next 2 or 3 years. But again, the light is at the end of the tunnel, and I'll challenge you guys, if you were Hawks fans in 06, 07, 08, and you saw Duncan Keith and Seabrook develop, and Tuomo Ruutu, who we all thought was going to be part of things, but then you get Taves at 3, then you get Kane at 1, and all of a sudden, like, wow, the Hawks just came out of nowhere. No, they didn't. They absolutely did not come out of nowhere. Those 2 picks came out, they won those 2 picks because they were so bad. They both hit. They were both Hall of Famers, and boom, the rest is history. But without those years of struggles, they would not have had Kane and Taves, and still no cups.
Yeah, they didn't get Taves at number 3 and Kane at number 1 overall because they were playing competitive hockey those 2 seasons.
Right.
They got them because they were awful. So here we are again. Time to be awful to get good again. It's one thing to be awful with, like, hey, we're just going to be awful because we're cheap and we don't care about winning. But if you're awful while the plan is to get good again, then you accept the awfulness for a couple of seasons.
All right, you know what's not awful? PointsBet. And if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download that app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. Do that now, and you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. And with a $50 or more first-time deposit, you're also going to get that free CHGO membership, access to our ad-free web content, access to our Discord, and, of course, the dope merch from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions about any of this, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. By the way, those new CHGO shirts are in. There's the Southside Bias, the Hey Chicago, what do you say, and the CHGO Skyline shirts. They look awesome. We got
Good
the
stuff.
Cubs one and the Skyline one. I wore mine yesterday. They're fantastic. Make sure you jump on there and get them, allchgo.com to order. But back to PointsBet, you can actually download the app right now and register from start to finish, all from your phone. You'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
And we are also brought to you by Athletic Greens. They are proud of their AG1 product, and it is formulated to improve your gut health, optimize your immune system, and give you more natural energy. With just 1 scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. And if you have different dietary restrictions or different choices with what you intake, whether it's gluten-free, dairy-free, keto, vegan, paleo, whatever it is, with AG1, you're good to go. It's easy to incorporate into your life no matter how busy you might be. Just a small once-a-day habit with big benefits. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just a scoop of AG1 in a cup of water every day. That's all you need. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right, did a little bit of intel this morning on Max Domi. It is a guy who is extremely well-traveled. He's been on the Hawks for his 5th team, I believe. Montreal,
Arizona, Montreal, Columbus,
Carolina,
Chicago.
And Chicago, right. So reached out to some friends I have in those markets, and consensus is good quote, good with the media, a bit of a me guy in the locker room. And not a huge surprise, right, that a guy who's that well-traveled with that kind of ability, he's not a superstar, but he's a good player.
He's a good player.
That brings a little more than just scoring to his game, has made the rounds. Another thing I'm told is that Ty Domi can be a bit of a pain in the ass to the coaches and to the management about playing time for Max and those sort of things, which is so funny Because if you remember years ago, the reason Ty Domi spent a night in prison was because of a high slash on Luke Richardson's head. So those two have quite a history. So I wonder if Ty is going to have the balls to call up Luke Richardson and be like, hey, you're not playing my son enough. What are you doing? I don't know if that will be a problem with the Hawks this year because Max Domi's going to play. He'll be on the power play. He'll be on the top six. Yeah. Not an issue. The other thing is, too, I think for Athanasiou and Domi, both those guys are using the Hawks as the Hawks are using them.
Yeah.
They know.
It's mutual benefit. You can have a career revitalization here. One of you or both of you at different times will have the opportunity to play with Patrick Kane and potentially put up some pretty nice offensive numbers. And once February, March rolls around, we might be shipping you off to have a run at a Stanley Cup. That'd be great.
Back to Carolina you go.
And that would help us because the better you do, the higher price teams are going to pay to get you to their contending teams.
I don't think Max Domi would be surprised in the least to get a phone call one early March morning saying, hey, pack your bags. You're now a New York Ranger.
You're now on your sixth team in the NHL. So, congratulations.
Both these teams. Now, I, for one, even in 2022, I would buy a ticket to see Luke Richardson and Ty Domi throw punches at each other.
Yes.
Even today. I kind of want that to happen now. I want him to call him like during the middle of like after a morning skate and just right there in the media room just start chucking.
Right. Well, but another thing we should point out too, though, is it could not have been that big of an issue with Luke Richardson as the head coach. Now he coached Ty Domi in Montreal, and if it was that big, Max Domi in Montreal, and if it was that big of a problem, I'm sure Luke would have said no. Find somebody else.
I guarantee you, Luke, and it was something Kyle Davidson spoke today. I kind of wanted to throw that question out there, but it was just too much, and I didn't get a chance to ask. But I wanted to ask, and maybe we'll get a chance with Kyle hopefully joining us in studio one of these days. How much input did Luke Richardson have in that? Was it Luke Richardson going to Kyle Davidson saying, hey, it's my kind of player.
Yeah.
I loved to play. He had his best numbers as a pro in Montreal, so maybe there's something to that. But yeah, you're hoping Max Domi does good enough to get you a nice prospect or pick in return, but you don't want him to do too good to where he's winning you games. Well, I'm not worried about that.
Well, I appreciate the two of you talking me off the ledge this morning.
Yeah, there were a couple. Somebody commented earlier, who are the competition? And while we were waiting for our interviews today with Ethan Del Mastro and Nolan Allen, which you can listen to tomorrow's podcast, Jay was like, are they too good now? And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, no, they're way worse than they were last year.
Well, I have to tell you, I didn't tell you guys this yet, but it's because I played a game of NHL 22 last night with the new Blackhawks, and I just kicked the shit out of the Red Wings.
Take it off a rookie
and
dude.
Colin Blackwell goes end to end and pops the bottle. I'm like, the Hawks are too good.
Blow it up again.
I'm so glad that is the reason.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just too
You're
good
just
at
the greatest
NHL
22 player of all time.
What it is.
Listen, this is the same Jay Zawaski that won the Stanley Cup last year with the Blackhawks.
That's
all
right. Sam Lafferty hoisting the cup.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
so
good
it's
thing.
No wonder.
Now, had they hired you instead of Luke Richardson, I might be worried that they're too good for the number one pick. But.
Well, I know you guys are chomping at the bit now to know my NHL 22 lines with the currently assembled Blackhawks, so I'll give them to you without further ado, okay?
Now we have a better idea of what this roster might actually look like next season.
I had Athanasiou with Taves and Kane.
Solid.
I had Reichel centering Max Domi and Philip Kurashev. Tyler Johnson centering Colin Blackwell and Taylor Radish, and Sam Lafferty centering Mackenzie Entwistle and Boris Kachuk.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
that's a 13-win team right there.
That sounds about right.
And we had in goal Alex Stalock and Peter Mrazek.
12-win team.
My D pairings were Vlasic and Jones, McCabe and Murphy, and Caleb Jones and Ian Mitchell.
11-win team.
So there you go. We're just going down.
Yeah, they are not too good to avoid.
That is pretty much what you can expect to see this season. I'm sure the team will give Riley Stillman a lot of ice time.
Yeah.
At times in the year. Yeah, I just.
Somebody asked who are the other teams that are going to be up there. We actually talked a little bit about that too. Montreal is not going to be that bad this year. You wouldn't think
they got not as bad as they were. Yeah.
They're not going to be number one overall. You got to remember, Montreal was coming off a run to the Stanley Cup final and went to number one overall. Yeah. So there could be one of those teams that comes out of nowhere and just bottoms out and everything goes wrong that we're not mentioning. But Montreal won't be that bad. Ottawa, man, I don't know.
Ottawa. I believe in Ottawa's roster to not be
number one
in the top
overall,
5.
But they could definitely be back at number 7 again. They've got 21, 22 Blackhawks written all over them.
Potentially, yeah.
Who was number 2 this year? New Jersey. They're not going to be that bad this year. They were only that bad because they had a few injuries.
Well, and they jumped into the top 3, right? Yeah.
Right.
So they jumped some spots to get into
But they're not
going to
be that bad. Arizona is a team.
They signed Andre Palat, by the way.
Right.
That was their big move.
They got Palat. So they decided that drafting Simone Nemec and signing Andre Palat was more valuable to them than trading for Alex DeBrincat, and they might be right.
Yep. Everyone thought that's where Gaudreau was going, and I think the Devils thought that too. And they're like, oh, well, Andre Palat.
Yeah.
Well, we got this Gaudreau
Plan B.
money. This check says Johnny Gaudreau, but we could scratch it out and put Andre Palat on it. Arizona is definitely a team that's going to compete with the Hawks.
Yeah.
So when we go out to Arizona and we play in front of their 18 fans in their tiny rink, lose.
Yeah.
And they lost to them last year.
They lost to them last year.
They lost to them last year. Did they lose all 3 games to them or 2 of the 3?
They played 4 times.
That's right. They're in our division now.
I think they played. Did they play only 4 times last year?
I think that's right. Yeah.
And I think they were like 2-2 or
they couldn't beat the Coyotes last year with Alex DeBrincat. So let's not. Yeah.
Arizona.
Seattle's going to be better.
Do they have a goalie?
Arizona?
Yes.
They got that Ludwig person.
He's on the Blackhawks.
Do they?
They can. Make a phone call.
Karel Vejmelka?
Oh yeah,
he's actually kind of good.
He's the lone goalie on their roster.
Well, he beat the Blackhawks twice last year, so there you go.
He must be great.
He's league average.
Yeah.
Seattle will be better.
Should be better.
You would think they made a couple moves.
Yeah.
They're going to have Matty Beniers and probably Shane Wright, and they got
Andre
Burakovsky. They'll be improved.
Yeah, race to the bottom is Chicago and Phoenix.
And there'll probably be another team that bottoms out that you don't expect.
Tampa.
What do you think?
The Flyers could be terrible
for the Coyotes this year. Logan
Cooley's going to college.
Oh yeah, he committed. That's right.
He's going to college. I think Minnesota.
Boy, they are real bad. Arizona. Oh
yeah,
my God.
they're gonna be the team that.
Yes,
but here's the thing, and I'm not the person. I'm not putting on a tinfoil hat. I'm not a conspiracy guy.
Nah, do it.
But
I'll do it.
You're Gary Bettman. And you're sitting there and you're going, okay, Connor Bedard, it's down to the Blackhawks or the Coyotes. Where do I want Connor Bedard to play hockey? Where does the NHL want Connor Bedard to play hockey? At the United Center in front of 21,000 people or in front of 150 frat boys at Arizona State? But see, that's what I'm thinking using a logical person's brains, but Gary Bettman could be thinking, it's got to be Arizona, then that might actually work. They might actually work in the desert if we get Connor Bedard out there. But
yeah, you know
Connor
what?
Bedard playing
now
in
that you
Chicago,
say it out loud.
No offense to our PHNX crew.
No,
we love them. We can't wait to hang out
fault.
with those guys. But, sorry, it's better for the National Hockey League if Connor Bedard is playing in Chicago than in Phoenix.
Let's just take a look at some of the first overall picks over the last few years. Sidney Crosby magically fell to the Penguins.
Right, when they were going to sell the team.
Right. Patrick Kane went to the Blackhawks. Whoops.
Yeah.
Montreal got the number 1 pick this year. Oops.
When the draft is in Montreal. Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, it's just
weird.
Things happen. Things have a way of working out.
Edmonton got their generational talent, and then Toronto got their generational talent.
Weird.
Interesting.
Edmonton got the number 1 pick 8 times.
8 out of 10 years.
So it's always got a funny way. I'm not saying there's any kind of shenanigans, but if there are to be, please, let's shenanigan the hell out of this and get Connor Bedard here in Chicago.
If they want to fix the draft, fine. I don't care.
Yeah, we're down.
Fix the hell out of it.
Fix it. Fix it. Bring it on.
Get them frozen balls in our favor. Oh, wait,
that's exactly right. Back to your old Manscaped reads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nate asks a good question. Back to the prospects. Any of the Blackhawks first or second rounders from this past draft playing college hockey? Not just that, but Nazar is playing.
Nazar is going to Michigan. Rinzel this season is going to be in the USHL. The next season after that is going to Minnesota. Drew Commesso is at Boston.
You've got Slaggert
and Ryder Olsen are at Notre Dame. Wyatt Kaiser is someone that I think you should definitely pay attention to on the blue line in the prospect system. He is at Minnesota Duluth.
Along with Connor Kelly, another prospect.
Connor Kelly transferred.
Okay.
But, yes, he's also playing in college. It's escaping me where he transferred to. Also, Dominic Bassi is the other college goaltender in the system. He is at St. Cloud State. Connor Kelly.
Providence.
There you go. So, yeah, there's definitely some guys to pay attention to in the college ranks, and some that are going to be playing at some high profile colleges that could be in the Frozen Four tournament.
And I assure you, when Notre Dame and Michigan get together, we will be there.
That would be fun.
We're going to go to a game.
That would be fun.
That'd be a lot of fun.
I would love to talk to them about setting up somewhere, doing a podcast from the Compton Ice Arena, talking to Slagger, talking to Ralston.
Maybe we get a party bus. We have a CHGO outing to that game.
That would be
CHGO Blackhawks fan outing. Get a party bus. Drive us to South Bend.
Maybe we
Chicago's
can go
Big Ten team,
and like a
Notre
college
Dame.
football weekend too, and just make a weekend of it.
Well, they usually do play 2-game sets, so they'll play Friday
they'll
and
play a
Saturday.
Friday,
They'll play
Saturday,
back-to-back nights. So if we're there,
done.
And I know
I will force myself to attend a Notre Dame football game for the good of the company,
and a hockey game too.
Yes, that too. That too.
I'll
go
go back.
The Compton Ice Arena, man. Woo.
It's a nice place.
Sweet in there.
I have not seen a Notre Dame hockey game in many moons, but it's in 18 years.
No kidding.
Yeah, long time.
Oddly enough, this will be my first. When we go, will be my first Notre Dame hockey game.
There you go.
I've only been there for prospects camp.
It is a good time from what I remember when I was there when I was 14 years old. Yeah.
Little bit of a comment here. I guess there's something going on with our comment section. So if you're commenting, we're not seeing them on our end, so we're not ignoring you. We're just having some technical issues with YouTube, so we'll get it back. But it's just that's the situation right now. We're basically at the end of the show anyway.
I know they don't have any Blackhawks prospects, but when Notre Dame and or Michigan play in Madison, we should also make a trip up to Madison just for the fun of it, because
Madison's a great town.
Any excuse to go to Madison, I will take that.
All right, we're gonna be the CHGO College Hockey Podcast this fall.
The College Road Show with the CHGO Blackhawks.
Let's do it,
man. Let's go. Let's do it.
We'll go up to Minnesota for a game.
I'll get myself a Notre Dame hockey jersey.
I got one.
Good. You got a name on it?
No, but it's my cousin's number back when he played in 2002.
Nice.
With the old CCHA patch on it, which according to the Blackhawks press release, I don't mean to make fun of him, but according to the Blackhawks camp roster, Notre Dame's still in the CCHA. For those who don't know, that is a defunct college conference. They are in the Big Ten.
Yes, they're in the WCW. Right now. Yeah. Man, it's crazy. It's going to be a fun little road to the Blackhawks contending again. But there's going to be so many opportunities for us to make trips like that, not just to college hockey games, but go see the Steel when some of the USHL guys come into town. And I've been touting them for months. Go see a Steel game anyway,
even for fun.
They got a couple
awesome.
of young kids. I was chatting with our guy Dan Vatch of the Steel. He was at prospect camps. They got a couple of young kids that are going to be first round picks in the 2024 draft coming in this year. Potentially even a top 5 pick. So if you're like, man, I wish I had seen Owen Power when he was with the Steel, or I wish I had seen
Owen Power.
Or I wish I'd seen Adam Fantelli when he was with the Steel. Well, go see the Steel this year, and then you're going to be like, hey, I saw that guy before. They're good. We'll probably make a trip out, at least one trip out to Rockford, this year. Hopefully gas prices plummet between now and October before we do all these trips, but it'll be fun.
Might be carpooling.
The next couple of years, yes, we're going to have 82 post-game shows for the Blackhawks this year. Yes, that is the main focus of this, but for the next 2, 3, 4 years, we're going to do a lot of prospects in the future, and it's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Because the NHL is not going to be fun or exciting, but what's coming will be.
Hey, look, I can find, and this is going to be the challenge for everybody, is to find the moments that make watching the Hawks feel good, right? Like, if you don't focus on the wins and losses and you focus on the development, like, hey, look at that play Ian Mitchell made, or, hey, Lucas Reichel had his first multi-point game, or whatever. Like, all those little glimmers of hope you're going to find next season and beyond, that's what you should focus on, right? Watch the individual players, root like hell for Max Domi and Athanasiou to have fantastic years.
A great 60-game run.
Because I'll remind you, the last time Max Domi was traded, the Jackets got Aiden Hrushchuk. That was the return for Max Domi last time he was traded. So it's not going to be a first or a second for either of those guys. But if you can get a third or fourth round pick or a
B-level
B-tier prospect, cool. Another lottery ticket to scratch.
Nate asked in the comments, I got him here on my iPad, do you have a guy in Rockford that can keep us up to date? We got plenty of guys in Rockford.
Joey Zakshevsky.
Joey Z, I'm
Nailed
going
it.
to he'll probably be a regular contributor to our show. He's on board to talk to us.
Our friend Joel Olmo,
who
pops into the chat from now.
Mario and I
then.
spent lots of days. I covered the IceHogs for almost 4 seasons. Mario covered the IceHogs for a couple of seasons. So
4 as well.
Yes, we've got plenty of AHL sources and people that are willing to come talk to us. We will cover the IceHogs better than anybody else in this city. I will guarantee you that. That's good. And let's see, there was something else I wanted to mention real quick. And
as you look up that comment, one thing I would say, if you have the means and ability, a good investment would be an AHL TV subscription. If you don't live in the Rockford area and can watch the IceHogs on local television, get an AHL TV subscription, and you'll be able to watch IceHogs games at your convenience, and it may be more entertaining than what you watch on what you watch from the Blackhawks this year.
At the very least, if you're in the Chicago area, go see them when they play the Wolves. They'll play the Wolves 6 or 7 times.
They'll play the Wolves 35 times.
We'll be out there too, by the way.
You're going to hear our buddy Chris Dubiel, who's in the chat. He's the fine PA announcer for the Wolves.
There you go.
So, yeah, go see them play in Rosemont 6 times a year. So there's plenty of options on how to catch the future Blackhawks and be excited about it. This is when you want to attach yourself to a young player before he becomes big, so you can be like, "Hey, I knew that kid." I
told you, Anton Babchuk will be better than Duncan Keith.
Yes,
and they still pay me. It's unreal.
Let's see how that pans out. There's still time.
Yeah, there's still time.
Yeah,
Keith is done, and Babchuk might make a comeback.
That's right. All right, before we wrap up, Greg, I have retired from Play of the Week because I was right last week, and I never want to be wrong. What is our points bet Play of the Week this week, my friend?
Well, we are going to stick, since the Chicago Cubs won your Play of the Week last week, and you're going to the Cubs game tonight. I figured to give you something else to watch for, and our points bet Play of the Week is starting pitcher Keegan Thompson over 4.5 strikeouts against the New York Metropolitans.
All right.
Plus 130 odds on those. That's pretty good odds. So 5 strikeouts from him, and that would be...
Got yourself a winning bet.
Yeah. We got a super chat here from Brandon. $2 super chat. Thank you. Can the IceHogs contend for the AHL championship? Maybe. AHL is such a weird, freaking league.
Yeah.
You cannot really make a lot of predictions because, guys, those rosters change daily. A guy is your leading scorer one game, the next game he doesn't play for you again, or you get a bunch of injuries. You get your NHL team gets injuries, and all of a sudden your top line is gone for 3 weeks. So the AHL is so freaking hard to predict, but they should definitely be, based on some of those veterans they signed. Did they officially announce the David Gust move? I don't think that was official.
It was not official, but people that I've talked to have said
more
that
than one person said that's happening.
That is the sense that things are going to happen.
They're paying attention to Rockford. They're not just treating them like we have to have an AHL team, so I guess let's sign a guy. They're going to be much more competitive this coming up here than they were last year, and they were a playoff team. And then Anders Sorensen's going to get a full season down there too. So it's a good time to be a Rockford IceHogs fan. I'm happy for the people in Rockford. They've got some loyal, diehard fans.
There'll be some exciting.
There'll be a lot more reason
games.
to ring those gosh darn cowbells in Rockford than in the past. But IceHogs games are fun. If you get a chance to make that trip out west to check them out, I recommend that too. Good entertainment value, and they'll be fun to watch. They'll win some games. And come playoff time, they should be in the mix. But so much can change at the AHL level.
No doubt. Before we wrap up, as I was looking to see if any hockey news broke while we were doing the show, I found this poll that the Chicago Sun-Times is running. New general manager Kyle Davidson has made a flurry of moves as the Blackhawks rebuild. On the whole so far, do you approve or disapprove? The options are approve, disapprove, or I'm on the fence. 31.2% approve. 29.6% disapprove, 39.2% say they're on the fence.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah. Now, again, I just feel
the meatballs,
had the Hawks gotten a single prospect for DeBrincat, it would be totally different. People will not let that go.
Doesn't matter. They could have got 8 prospects for DeBrincat, and people would still be mad.
Yeah, probably.
I was able to speak with Larry Hawley for WGN today, and he said, he asked me about the DeBrincat trade and the Doc trade and everything. And my point is on that. Put them together and look at the return. DeBrincat and Doc for first-round pick, second-round pick, third-round pick, future third-round pick. Together, that's not so bad. When you pick and choose, yes, we could be upset about the DeBrincat return for the rest of our lives if we wanted to.
Doesn't matter.
But it won't matter in the grand scheme of things. Take Kyle Davidson's moves.
Throw in the Hagel
Smash
trade.
them all together. Hagel trade, Fleury trade, Alex Nylander for Sam Lafferty.
The Mrazek
flipping,
trade.
Getting
a
Mrazek and first.
And a starting goalie.
Put it all together.
It's pretty darn good.
He is doing a decent job. It's a net win in the long run.
All right.
I gotta say.
Well, let's tie a bow on this bad boy. We'll be back tomorrow.
I thought you were about to break the Phil Kessel news.
No, I wish. We do a whole other 5 hours on that because I got thoughts that Phil Kessel's a Hawk.
God, make
Doesn't
it happen.
seem likely, though.
Please make it happen.
Kyle today was like, we're pretty much done.
Yeah.
This is pretty much what you're looking at.
I did see a Wiener Circle wrapper on his shoe when he walked in, so maybe they're
Blowing
bringing
through
it
the
in.
lot of the Fifth Third Arena. You saw a hot dog wrapper? Yeah. Tomorrow's show, audio only. It'll be published around 11 a.m. We have interviews with Frank Nazar, Drew Camesso, Nolan Allen, and Ethan Del Mastro. We want to thank the Blackhawks for making those things happen. They were recorded in the concourse of the Fifth Third Arena, so guest starring the air conditioner.
Yes.
But
and random shots that went wide and hit the glass,
Right,
and random security guards, and
Tommy Hawk came in and tackled Mario today.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yeah, I felt like a few years ago when he was in that little scuffle in the concourse. Yeah,
but I will say the Hawks today updated the schedule for tomorrow. If you can make it at 10:15, they're doing 5-on-5 scrimmages, two 25-minute periods. It was going to be 3-on-3.
They just changed that.
They changed it to 5-on-5. So at 10:15 tomorrow, Fifth Third Arena, the Hawks will be scrimmaging 5-on-5, two 25-minute periods with the running clock. So not a huge time investment. If you can get over there, there's street parking.
Free and open to the public.
Yeah, and I think even though we're going to record in the morning, I think I'm going to go over there. My daughter wants to see it, so I'm going to go as a fan tomorrow. So
and
there's
Nesquik chocolate and strawberry in the vending machine.
Yes.
There you go.
And I had a soul-saving Snickers because I realized all I ate today was gum until we started doing our interviews. I'm like, I should probably have food. So I had a Snickers, and it was wonderful. So hopefully we'll see you out there tomorrow, but make sure you listen to tomorrow's episode with great interviews with some definite future Blackhawks on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Have a great one.